Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all. It's Bear here. And I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, A Box with No Lid. A channel I'm creating not just to bring the awareness around the reality trauma and complex trauma creates and removal trauma, but I really want to bring what I've learned through my own personal experiences and my many, many years as an advocate and as a practitioner with the simple hope that something you may learn or hear here will be helpful to you in improving the quality of your lives. Now, yes, this is the next video in the adoption series, and carrying on from the last one, I want to start to, as I said in the last video, bring forward you guys thinking about the emotional repercussions of removal and placement and break them down into the individual roles and people that are part of it, with the hope of not the cognitive stuff. And this is not about the words behind it. This is about the emotional parts associated with this experience, with being removed and placed and raised with, a family that is not your own. And what that actually means in the core of those that have gone through it, and how that plays out in the lives of those of us who have gone through it, in the hope that it creates an understanding and the much needed conversations that I've said in several videos that need to start to happen. Now, in this one, I want you guys, for those that have been through this, that are adopted or have gone through foster care, we know what this is. We do this. But for those that are watching this that haven't, have a think about what it would mean to you to be taken from your mother, to have never seen her, to never know her, to all the reality of what that emotionally means to a very young infant at birth or within the first 1 or 2 years of life, what that would mean. And put yourself in that space of how would you emotionally process that experience and what that experience entails. And as it cognitively, we can come up with all the sentences, and society does throw all these defined little black and white sentences that justify all of this. But it doesn't touch what it emotionally means. What does it emotionally mean to be taken from your mother, to be given up or relinquished, for your mother to do certain acts that mean you're taken from her, or for society to take you from her because of race and nationality, or the beliefs? What does that actually emotionally mean, and what do those emotions do? And take a moment and sit with that. We know if we see it, if it plays out in a movie and a little infant is abducted and they're screaming and crying, there's a lot of empathy to that. There are a lot of laws around kidnapping. But there is very little empathy when a child is taken supposedly lawfully. Now, the emotional part. What does it mean and what does it feel like to have to emotionally process? Why wasn't I good enough for my mom to find me, to come take me out of the box into her arms and to take me home? What did I do wrong? What happened? Why wasn't I good enough? And all these things are real emotions that come with this. There's also the anger of blame and everything that comes with that growing up. And all of these feelings and emotions shape emotional perspectives, interpretations, and priorities. And that's the key part of this for this video, the emotional priorities that this creates. Now, in the world that is adoption and in placements, in foster care, the foster care people I've spoken to, we kind of group it into, we're part of one of three groups with this. We either blame our biological mother for everything that's happened. We either blame our placement or our adopted parents for everything that's happened, or we blame ourselves. But in reality, we also have all three in this going on at once. But when you talk to us and ask us to answer that question, those of us that are willing to, we will do one of these three responses. That's the cognitive part. The emotional part, the emotional priorities this creates is we have an emotional question of trying to understand why this happened. Why our mom isn't there? Why wasn't our mom there? Why didn't she come get us? And all that comes with that. And that creates an emotional priority set of needs that we will play out in every interaction we have in one form or another throughout our life until it's appeased. That's the consequence of it. Whether it's keeping that bottled up and shutting it shut down, which keeps us emotionally separate, or whether it is subconsciously looking for that fulfillment in the relationships and interactions we have around us. The emotional priorities of what we need to find out, what we need to prove, and how we need to show that we've done, become what we wanted to become regardless of what we've been through. All this stuff that drives us forward, coming from this base, are all part of us trying to make sense of why we weren't good enough for our mom to raise us. Regardless of any of the reasons and justifications behind it, it comes down to why weren't we enough to be raised by our mom? The woman that we grew inside of, the woman whose voice we heard, the woman whose heartbeat we heard, the woman whose pheromones we are genetically designed to integrate with, to help ours to regulate. Why weren't we good enough? I want you guys to seriously grasp and understand the depth and complexity of this and how it will play out. Because this core plays out generationally. It plays out in the children of adoptees and the children of those that have gone through foster care because of the emotional priorities we create trying to make sense of it. There is no right and wrong way to create emotional priorities to try to make sense of this because this is such an unnatural thing to occur. And the only way we can get to a better place with this, as I've said in numerous videos, is to have the conversations to help make sense of it. Now, some people go, and I know a lot of adoptees have pursued, reconnecting and tracing their biological mother to try to get those answers. The thing of it is I personally know a lot of mothers of forced adoption, a lot of relinquishing mothers. I've spoken with them, I've listened to them, I've observed them for years, their behavior and how they interact. And when you're part of committees and inquiries, there's all these areas where you can watch and pay attention to the mannerisms and the wordings and the phrasings and the priorities and everything that's avoided and all these things. And you can gain a pretty good understanding from that. And the reality is, in some of the mothers that I've even gotten quite close to in conversation and in friendship, in regards to how could you answer that question, they can't. It gets deferred to the ungrievable grief. It gets deferred to, these things that are impossible to do. But regardless of being ungrievable and all this sort of stuff, we still have to emotionally make sense of it. We do it every day. When we're younger, our life is usually so busy that, we can ignore it for a time. But when we get older, as I've said in a few videos, it comes back and it haunts us. The choices and the decisions and everything we've made in our life trying to fulfill the understandings of why this happened emotionally within inside us. And when we realize we haven't even touched it, it's quite devastating. And that's why I'm making this video. And the majority of the videos is I'm trying to get the conversation started and the awareness out there so that we can start to realize how we need to be helped and supported to find this emotional understanding. Not acceptance. Acceptance doesn't work with this. It does for a time. But as I said, when you get older and this stuff bites you in the butt, acceptance doesn't work anymore. It takes from us. It takes from us our lives and then our abilities to have lives and to participate in lives. Acceptance isn't enough. Understanding and being supported to be able to emotionally make sense of and process through the why it happened. And that is a group thing, that is a community thing. It's not an individual thing, it's not, even just with you and your biological mother. It takes other perspectives. It takes a broader understanding to work through this. Indigenous and old world communities understood this when things like this happened. When parents were lost, they understood this, and they knew that it was a community that came together at numerous times and numerous conversations and ways to emotionally process this, to bring back into balance the emotional priorities of the individual that went through that experience. And we need to learn how to do this again. Hence making this video. So spend a little time asking yourself how you've emotionally made sense of these experiences that you've gone through, for those of us that live this. And those of us that are part of our lives that haven't, and are watching this, have a think about how you would feel. And start opening the doors of conversation to create the support and the understandings and the processing around to bring, as I said, the emotional priorities created from this back into balance. I really hope this video makes sense, and I love and thank you guys for your comments and feedback. Please be mindful, please be safe, please be respectful, and I'll see you all next time.